Hello YouTube and welcome to Prime Productions. I'm here to help enhance your tabletop gaming experience. Well, it's finally here. I got my hands on the final book in the initial lineup of the Pathfinder 2 remaster project. The final book that was the Paizo mad scramble to distance themselves from the Wizards of the Coast OGL scandal. Now, initially in this script I had a big bit explaining what the OGL scandal was and the history of it and why it led to the remaster project, but I realized this wasn't the video to have that discussion. So for those that are lost, the long and the short of it is Paizo, the company that makes Pathfinder, was blindsided by some legal shenanigans and had to change up the names in their role-playing game system in order to be able to be safe in the marketplace, and they took that opportunity to do some much-needed errata. Thus was born the Pathfinder Remaster project. If you want to know more, I have a link in the description below by the Dungeon Dudes who explain it pretty well. Just as a recap, there are 4 books that initially got the Pathfinder Remaster project off the ground. The Player and GM Cores, the Monster Core, and the Player Core 2. And now that the Player Core 2 is coming out, everything should be back on track for Paizo. As for Player Core 2, oh boy, do we have some things to talk about. So there were a lot of changes in the Player Core 2, probably more than in Player Core 1, so today I'm just going to cover the biggest changes in these classes. I know we won't get to everything, but I'll try to hit some of the biggest changes. I do plan on having some other videos come out that will go into detail on changes to spells and ancestries and equipment, so be on the lookout for those, but I thought it best to tackle the classes first, so let's dive right in. The first class in Player Core 2 is the Alchemist, and it got a lot of changes. First and foremost, a lot of people will be happy to know that the Alchemist finally gets up to Master Proficiency in weapons. Pre-remaster, Alchemists did not get Master Proficiency in weapons, which was a big problem for them because, well, they couldn't hit anything. Now, they do get Expert and Master Proficiencies 2 levels later than other martial classes, so Expert at 7 and Master at 15 instead of 5 and 13. Still, that's a big win for Alchemists, and I know a lot of people who want to make a mutagen-based Alchemist that will be happy about this. Another minor buff is the free formula book that Alchemists get at first level. For those who don't know Alchemists well, Alchemists get a formula book that keeps track of their alchemical formulas, kind of like how a wizard has a spell book. Previously, every alchemist had to learn each new alchemical formula separately. Now the alchemist automatically learns the upgraded formula if they have the lower level version. So, for example, let's take an alchemist who knows the formula for the Lesser Alchemist's Fire, a level 1 alchemical item. At level 3, they automatically learn the formula for a Moderate Alchemist's Fire. They don't have to choose that as a new formula. That's a benefit the previous alchemists didn't have, at least I don't think they did. The big change, though, is to the Alchemist's Advanced Alchemy system. The old system was a bit onerous, and the problem was that, especially at early levels, it was easy to run out of alchemical attacks. The new system fixes this. It seems a bit complicated at first, but it's actually pretty easy once you wrap your head around it. The way the new Alchemist works is that you basically have 3 options for alchemy. The first option is called Advanced Alchemy. At the start of the day, you can make 4 plus your intelligence modifier number of alchemical consumables for free. They cost you nothing, you just choose what you want to make and then make them, provided you have the alchemical formula for that item. The only thing is that they only last a day, otherwise they work just like the real thing. This is great for things like the Antidote, which gives you a bonus to Fortitude saves against poison for 6 hours. The second type of alchemy you can get are called Versatile Vials. You get a maximum number of these equal to 2 plus your intelligence modifier. Each versatile vial can be thrown and is kind of like an acid flask with a chart depicting what they do here. You can also spend a single action to turn any versatile vial into any alchemical consumable provided you have the formula for it. But in that case, they only last for 10 minutes. So if you made an antidote with a versatile vial, it would only give you a bonus for 10 minutes instead of the normal 6 hours. The upshot is that every 10 minutes you can make 2 new versatile vials up to your maximum, which again is 2 plus your intelligence modifier. You do this in addition to any exploration activities you do. So yeah, you can perform the field surgery on someone doing treat wounds, and you still somehow find the time to make 2 versatile vials simultaneously. The last form of alchemy is quick vials. Quick vials cost you nothing, and you can make them ad nauseum. They are kind of like a spellcaster's cantrips. They are infinite. They do have a few downsides with them, though. Quick vials can do the same damage as versatile vials, which again is on this table. Or you can turn them into any bomb formula you know, like an alchemist's fire. You can also turn them into one other thing depending on your research field, which is your subclass. The thing about quick vials is that they only last until the end of your turn, so you can't really hand them out to others without them going bad. Now, the book explains it a bit differently, but as far as I can tell, that's how the new alchemist works. Oh, speaking of research fields, I'm not going to go over them in great detail. Just know that each research field grants you a few extra alchemical formulas at level 1, a small benefit, something you can do with your quick vials, and a few bonuses as you level up. For example, the bomber research field gives you an extra 2 formulas for alchemical bombs at level 1, and you can choose not to splash your friends with splash bombs. When you make versatile vials, including quick vials, you can choose to deal cold, fire, or electricity damage instead of acid. Compared to alchemists, the changes to barbarian are relatively tame. Like was announced in PaizoCon back in May, barbarians can now rage multiple times per fight, but still only get the temporary hit points once per minute. Now, you still can't voluntarily stop raging, but it does help if you get knocked out, drop rage, and then get healed and stand back up. Oh, this is fun. Barbarians no longer suffer a penalty to AC while raging. I mean, giant instinct barbarians are still clumsy 1, but normal barbarians don't have a penalty. Not sure I like this change personally. Now there's kind of no risk to raging. I mean, yes, it makes the barbarian class stronger, but rage used to be a kinda tactical decision. Now it's just all the rage all the time. I don't know, that's just personal preference. Barbarians do have a few new features. One is called Quick Tempered, which lets a barbarian rage as a free action when initiative is rolled, but only if they are wearing no light or medium armor. I know a few people who made heavily armored barbarians who will be unhappy with this, but for the most part I think it's fine. There's also a level 8 class feat that lets Quick Tempered work in heavy armor anyway. And remember, barbarians can still take an action to rage normally. Lastly, at level 3, barbarians automatically get a bonus to speed. That was something that 1st edition Pathfinder barbarians got, and it used to be a feat for pre-remaster barbarians. Now it's just a class feature. One of the bigger changes to barbarians is that their instincts, which is the barbarian subclass, no longer have anathemas. So, if you get insulted at a dinner party, your dragon barbarian no longer has to haul off and punch Lord Fancy Pants in the face. The superstitious barbarian still does have an anathema, though now it's playable? Before, you couldn't let any spells be cast on you, even healing spells, but now it's just you can't learn to cast spells or can't cast spells from items. Other than that, Fury Instinct got a bit of a buff, but not much else to report. Champions changed a fair bit. Their Divine Ally class feature changed to Blessing of the Devoted and has been reworked. Mostly it just has expanded options. The big thing is that now instead of choosing to get a mount, you can just choose an option that makes yourself faster and gives yourself a bonus to AC against reactions that would trigger from movement like Reactive Strike. Oh, you can still get a mount, by the way. It's now just a series of class feats, kind of like the Ranger's Animal Companion. Also, champion focus spells got switched up a bit. If your god has the healing font, you get Lay on Hands. If your god has the harm font, you get Touch of the Void, which is the new name for Touch of Corruption. However, any champion can turn in their normal focus spell and instead get Shields of the Spirit. This focus spell automatically raises your shield, so you need a shield to use it. However, it also gives all allies within 15 feet of you a +1 status bonus to AC. What's more, anyone who attacks an ally within that 15-foot aura takes 1d4 spirit damage, which scales up slowly. This is fantastic. 1d4 spirit damage no save is not a lot, but if an enemy is attacking 3 or 4 times a round, it can really make them think twice about attacking anyone other than the champion. Remember, you don't count as your own ally, so enemies don't take damage when attacking you. The big change, though, is the causes. Now there are 7 causes to choose from, 2 for wholly aligned champions, 3 that don't require an alignment, and 2 for unwholly aligned champions. A lot of the old favorites are there, but they've been shuffled around a bit. For example, the old Paladin, the cause that let you attack someone if they attacked your friend, is now the Justice champion and is a neutral cause. There are some new causes too, like Grandeur. The Grandeur cause lights up anyone who attacks your enemy. It affects them with a spell Revealing Light, which makes invisible creatures concealed and makes concealed creatures just straight up visible. It also makes them dazzled, and notice the wording, it says affected. I don't think the enemy gets a save, it's just dazzled and revealed. This is great for fights against invisible enemies like Fades, which is the remaster name of the invisible stalker. Also, a dazzled creature has a 20% miss chance, which is good. How exactly the causes work is a bit onerous. Basically, if your deity requires you to be aligned holy, you have to choose one of the 2 holy causes. Same thing with unholy deities and unholy causes. If your deity allows but does not require you to be holy, then you have access to the holy or unaligned causes. Similarly, if your deity allows unholy but does not require it, then you have access to the unholy or unaligned causes. And if your deity allows both unholy or holy, then you have access to all causes. There are a lot of new champion feats, including new feats for the new causes. I'd suggest checking them out. I could not possibly cover all of them in this video, but there are some fun ones out there. Moving on to Investigators. There are not a lot of changes here. One big change comes with the Studied Strike. Pre-remaster, how it worked is that investigators could zero in on an enemy and then roll a d20. The next attack against that enemy, in which they used their intelligence modifier instead of any other modifier, did some extra damage if they hit, but also had to use that d20 roll. So if players rolled a low roll, such as a natural 1, they were kind of out of luck. They had to use that low roll, but they knew it would miss. Now, in Player Core 2, instead of attacking, they can choose not to attack that enemy for the rest of the round, and instead their next mental-based skill check against that enemy gets a nice little boost. A few of the methodologies, which are the Investigator subclass, got changed. The Alchemical Science subclass is now, pardon the pun, a watered-down version of the Alchemist's versatile vial system. The interrogation methodology can now be used in combat to make someone off guard to you, stuff like that. Monks changed very little. The monastic weaponry feat now includes any agile or finesse weapons you have familiarity with, such as with various ancestral weapon familiarity feats. That used to be a separate feat called ancestral weaponry. Now it's just all wrapped up into monastic weaponry, which is a level 1 feat, so all you elven monks out there can now run around with your elven curved blades at level 1. It's actually a bit better than that, because now you can get familiarity with weapons in ways that are not ancestry feats. Other than that, I didn't see too many changes. A bunch of things were renamed for OGL purposes. Things such as key spells changed to chi spells. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. I don't speak Mandarin or Cantonese. I did want to point out one thing. This level 20 feat called Godbreaker just lets you air combo someone as if you were in a fighting game. Now, I'm actually going to leave Oracle for last, so let's move on to Sorcerer. They got a few changes. Now, Sorcerers have a class feature named Sorceress Potency. This basically says if you hit an enemy using a non-duration spell from a spell slot, so not a cantrip or a focus spell, you increase the damage by 1 per spell rank. Healing is similarly increased. This is basically a buffed version of the old Dangerous Sorcery feat, which is the feat that almost all sorcerers took. Now, it's just a class feature. There are some new bloodlines, like bloodlines for the new dragon types from Monster Core, and now there are metal and wood elemental bloodline sorcerers, so that's cool. Some of the blood magic stuff got changed around a bit, but overall not a huge number of changes, but some important ones. Next is Swashbuckler. As a quick reminder, panache is a thing that swashbucklers get. They either have it or they don't store up points of panache. When a swashbuckler has panache, they just get better, and they can spend their panache to do cool things. Anyway, Player Core 2 streamlined how panache works through the bravado trait. The bravado trait is now just a trait that says, if you succeed on this check, you also gain panache. There are also some new feats that give you panache in other ways, like this feat that says if an enemy critically misses you while you have your buckler raised, you gain panache. There are some much needed changes to the swashbuckler. They now gain a bonus to bravado skills. Previously, they only gained this bonus if they already had panache, which didn't help them generate the panache. They also now gain free skill increases at certain levels, which is sorely needed. Previously, to generate panache, a swashbuckler needed to increase certain skills, which meant they couldn't focus on increasing the skills they wanted. For their class to work, they basically have to increase acrobatics and their subclass skills, so having more skill increases is a welcome change. Lastly, swashbucklers have a new subclass called Rascal that is thievery-based. Previously, the subclasses were either based on athletics or some charisma skill like performance. Having one that is dexterity-based, like thievery, means that a swashbuckler doesn't have to split their attention between dexterity and strength or dexterity and charisma. However, this thievery subclass does have a few downsides. It uses the new Dirty Trick feat to generate panache. Dirty Trick goes against an opponent's reflex DC, same as Tumble Through, the other default way to gain panache. This is in contrast to going against an enemy's Fortitude DC, which the Strength-based swashbuckler can do, or Will DC that the Charisma-based swashbucklers can do. So the Rascal locks you into going against Reflex Save or Reflex Save, which is bad if your opponent has a high Reflex Save. The Dirty Trick feat also requires a free hand, meaning you can't use it with two-handed weapons like an Elven Curve Blade or with a shield or with two-weapon fighting. So yeah, Rascal means you don't need to buff Charisma or Strength as high, but it is also limiting, and I think that's a good trade-off. A good way to limit what would have been an automatic no-brainer pick. Okay, moving on to Oracle, and this one got the most changes, and the changes that are going to hurt because almost the whole class was redesigned. I can tell it is going to be contentious and people are going to be angry, and I know this because I've seen it. A lot of people are talking about how they dislike the new Oracle. So first, a quick recap of how the old Oracle works. Each Oracle is centered around a mystery, which is their subclass. The pre-remaster mysteries gave Oracles special benefits, like the Life Oracle got 10 hit points per character level instead of 8. These Oracles also got curse-bound focus spells. Each time you cast a curse-bound focus spell, your curse got worse. You started at a curse state of 0 or no curse, but then you progressed to minor, moderate, and at higher character levels major and then extreme. As your curse got worse, you did get benefits, but also downsides. For example, the moderate curse for the Battle Oracle gave you a bonus to weapon damage rolls, but also a penalty to defenses. The big problem was, when you refocused, you went down to having a minor curse, not 0, minor. And there was no way to get rid of this save for resting for 8 hours. And some of the minor curses were really bad, like making it so that there was a 15% chance that almost any action you tried would fail if you had the Ancestor's Curse. The new Oracle is different, with a lot of new features, but also a lot of things that were taken away. Now, each time you refocus, your curse goes down 1 level, and it can go down to curse level 0. The curse states are now counted differently, but it's essentially just a rename. Anyway, now Oracle focus spells don't automatically tick up your curse level. Instead, each Oracle mystery gives you a focus spell and a special curse-bound action. And it is these curse-bound actions that tick up your curse condition. So it's a lot easier to do your job without delving into your curse if you do not want to. This is a long way of saying you can cast your focus spells and do your thing without triggering your curse if you do not want to. Mysteries now give each Oracle a host of new spells, some of which are not normally on the Divine list, so now a Tempest Oracle can actually cast Chain Lightning. Oh, and one more piece of good news, Oracles get up to 4 spells per spell rank instead of 3, so they have more spells to throw out. But every up must have a down, and now we come to the part that people are really going to hate. Mysteries no longer just give you a free benefit. So yeah, that life oracle doesn't get 10 hit points per level. Another big takeaway is that curses are now just all bad. Yeah, the battle oracle doesn't do extra damage anymore for getting to the moderate level. But there is a silver lining here. The curses don't seem as bad as they were before. Like the life oracle used to just become completely immune to magical healing from others. Eventually, every time they cast a high-level spell, they'd hurt themselves. Now they just heal less. The Ancestry Oracle in particular is playable now. Instead of having a 15% or higher chance that they would just fail many of their actions, they just gain the Clumsy condition. And at the highest level, that's Clumsy 4, which is bad, sure, but you can still play it. If an enemy is attacking your friend, you, even at Clumsy 4, can still cast healing spells from the back without worrying that you'll lose your turn and your friend will go down from lack of healing. I know there's going to be a big controversy about this change. Personally, I'm up for it. It is true that certain niche builds are going to be invalidated by this. I had an old battle oracle that wouldn't work in this new system very well. I know, I get it. But it also opens up a more varied playstyle. You can play an oracle who delves deeply and greedily into their curse at the first sign of trouble, or you can play an oracle who avoids their curse as much as possible. And that wasn't a strong option to play with the old oracle. Plus, some of the new options are really neat. Like the Life Oracle at the start of the day can choose to be treated as a living creature or undead creature in terms of healing. So now you can play a Dampier or even a Skeleton and not have to worry about the party not being able to heal you. That's pretty neat. Listen, I know this is going to get contentious. I just ask that you keep the comments section civil. Please. And while you're debating the merits of this book in the comment section below, make sure to like and subscribe. This tells not only me, but also YouTube that you like this kind of content and would like to see more. And until next time, thank you, good luck, and happy gaming!